2024 is finally here, and Happy New Year. The first thing I want to say is that if you are traveling from one part of the country to another, you are on the road, please exercise maximum caution, obey all rules of the road, and cooperate with law enforcement officials. We don't need to lose any more lives or have anyone getting injured than we already have already. We've lost too many lives over the years due to reckless behavior, to drinking and driving, and so on. And I'll leave it there. Let's please be careful on the roads. The second thing I want to talk about is 2024, which will be 30 years since the dawn of democracy in 1994. I think many things have gone right during the past 30 years, but many of those same things have gone wrong. We've gone backwards. We are going backwards. We are losing the gains of the last 30 years due to the status quo, due to the political establishment, due to reckless and uncaring leadership. And as Rise Mzansi, we've repeatedly said that 2024 must be our 1994, which means a political crossroads in which the South African people choose a different path. And for us, the choice is between the old establishment, the old politics of saying, we as the political parties will do democracy for you. You trust us with your vote, you sit at home, and we will do the rest. We have seen how that formula has not worked, in particular over the last 15 years, and that needs to change. Rise Mzansi is proposing a different path, and that path is where the people are at the center and at the front of the change they want to see. Is where we return the democracy to the people by changing our system of representation, by changing how we choose representatives, by changing electoral laws, and many other things within the political sphere so that the people can finally govern. But we're also advocating for a change in mindset. It being January, the most topical story over the next few weeks is going to be about the matric results. Now, there are hundreds of thousands of young people who've worked very hard during the course of last year and over the last few years to make sure that they get to this point and they pass. But that is not a complete story. Some will do exceptionally well and go to university. Some will not do so well and need to go to an institution of higher learning other than university. Some of them will struggle to get into those institutions. Some of them will struggle to get funding to get into university or universities of technology and so on. But there are also many, about 48% at the last count, who have not even reached matric. Those young people also need to build a life of prosperity, a life of safety, and a life of security. And they will not have the tools to do so because our government and our country simply does not care enough to provide them with the tools with which to build a life. Why is this important? It is important that we escape the politics of the last 30 years, where we are taught to celebrate mediocrity, where we are taught to celebrate only some of us succeeding rather than the majority of us succeeding, where we celebrate just some of us doing well or having a decent life rather than everybody having a decent life. And so there is an election this year, and we believe that election will take place in May of this year, or later or earlier, and this is our one and only chance to make sure that we get out of the mess in which we find ourselves. The only way to get out of this mess is if we participate in driving the change we want to see. The politics of hoping that somebody else is going to drive the change is a politics of the past. It has failed. The politics of treating political change and the job of agitating for change as something that is done by special people is a thing of the past. All of us have a responsibility to convene, that is to meet, to organize and to mobilize one another, to register to vote, to choose a political party, Rise Mzansi in this instance, that cares about the future of South Africa as a whole, that cares about the kind of democracy we have, that also wants to frame South Africa's political, social, economic, and other issues in the way that South Africans experience them every day. The only way to do that is if we shape that politics together. It is not something that will be done by others on behalf of the rest of us. On January 20, Rise Mzansi will launch its elections manifesto. If you can make it, it's taking place in Tshwane. Please follow our social media channels and also look out for announcements and try and attend if you can. But what is important about the People's Manifesto is that the way it is written, the political priorities that it identifies, and the manner in which we are going to pursue those priorities after the election reflects the way that South Africans have articulated those issues to us. It is the way that South Africans experience them every day. And it is also the way that South Africans want those issues to change every day. 2024 is our 1994. If we do not pursue and achieve the change now, it will be too late. It is not somebody else's job. It is all our responsibility to drive the change that we see. Happy New Year.